How you doing, Hot Toys boys and girls? I'm Eric, and this will be my first video on 6-scale figures, in a sense of not reviewing, but actually modding and customizing your own figures. Here's a few examples. Everyone knows Hot Toys, Christopher Reeve's Superman. And off the bat, if you have this figure, and if not, I don't know why, he's different from yours, isn't he? Yes, look at his body. That is not the straight out of the box body that you see comes with Christopher Reeve's. Why? Straight off the bat, his arms go all the way down. And all of you who are aware of that know that his arms can't go down on a stock body. That's only because it's wide underneath his arms, underneath his chest, right around here, so it doesn't go all the way down. It'll meet together quite far. So he'll have that V shape all the time. And I couldn't deal with that. I'm an articulation buff, and I've been that way for a really long time, even before Hot Toys came into this business. So, yeah. Excuse me. What I'd like to do for you today is give you a breakdown on the mechanics of figure bodies. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Hot Toys figure bodies. Now, we all know the Slims. Alright, let me just give you guys the view. Everyone knows the Slim. Hot Toys bodies, especially the base bodies, they are not cheap. Not compared to some of the other brands out there. I'm not sure if you guys even know about these other brands, but I'm pretty sure for you who do moddings and stuff like that, you do. There are many types of clones for Hot Toys bodies. But then you have other companies who do their versions of bodies, like ACI Toys or Caustic Plastic, those type of companies. And they do great bodies, mainly massive bodies, like these bodies. Oh, there goes one. Now, yes, I understand it would be better if I had stands, but that's not the point I'm trying to prove here. I'm trying to prove that all of the figures, if you know how to work the mechanics of the joints, will stand on their own without, too much flexing. So, what we have is the standard true type body. It didn't actually look like this in the earlier versions, but this is what they ended up with today, and it's wonderful. We have the Slim, which didn't really change since the first time they came out with it, and the Massive, after they kind of, based it off the Terminator's Arnold body, I believe. So the Massive before this one was the scope with Jake Gyllenhaal, I believe. I didn't really like that. It took too much away from articulation, especially in the shoulders. I love shoulder joints. Please be aware that I love these joints, and if there is a figure that does not have it, I will either not buy it, or I will buy it and change the body to where I can have it. Why? Because what figure only raises his arms forward and backward and up and down? Actually, just up and down, because that's basically what you're doing. Up and down. If I wanted that, I wouldn't be paying that much for it. I need the shoulder going up. It's slight visual difference when it's just the body, but if you were to do it to a figure in a pose, it makes all the difference. I'm telling you, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you want to go by, in this scale, make a big difference. So, all these figures will break apart piece by piece, and you know, they are compatible with each other, and you can make a giant, massive, top-heavy figure with like puny, you know, chicken legs that would barely look like they can hold up that upper torso, if that's what you're going for. And I'm telling you, you can do that. You know, not everyone wants it, you know, realistic. Not everyone wants it too realistic. Some people want their figures a little cartoonish. That's why there's so many companies. Let me not mention Triad Toys. Anyway, so that's Hot Toys. I don't know if you guys know, sorry about that, about what to do. It's like, how can I swap bodies? I don't get it. Okay, well, most Hot Toys bodies have screws for each piece and section of the body. All these. If you unscrew it, pull them apart, they all come out in pieces, and you can swap them with other bodies. It doesn't even have to be Hot Toys bodies. Let me give you an example. This is a Soldier Story body. You actually see the difference, yes? Of course you do. Now, what makes these compatible? Like all these figures. Once you unscrew this top part, you take it apart, you take shoulders come out, arms come out, and it's basically, you're left with this, this, and this. These are Soldier Story parts, by the way, and this is the Bane body. Chest, torso, you know, what makes up a body. But not only that, you know, you have many pieces that make up the body, and they all add some shape or form articulation. Now, these are all just spare pieces I have lying around because I do love modding my figures. Don't get me wrong, I will cheaply do it if possible, but they also have to be aesthetically pleasing as well, because I don't want to put crappy pieces with high-end pieces and think it's going to work, because you pay for your quality, and really, you pay for what you get. And if you're buying cheap pieces that you're planning to put with your Hot Toy stuff, it doesn't work, honestly. Just in my opinion, you guys might want to do it and go for it, but just be aware not everyone sees it that way. But to be honest, there are people who can make it happen, and for those people, those very few select people that I've seen do it, work well. Now, all these figures, in some way or another, you know, break down in these kinds of sections, you know, and each piece, you know, they have a way of putting it together, and if you would just be brave enough to take it apart, excuse me, you'd see it. Now this is a shoulder joint. This is like the best part, one of my favorite parts in these bodies, because it allows the arms to go up and down and forward and backwards, you know, because what person just moves like this, you know? I mean, I'm pretty sure if you were unproportioned, that might be a problem. But let's get out of the subject. Anyway, you know, even small pieces like this, you'll never really see it unless you take apart your figures. Now, this is actually a piece where, you know, it's got a spring inside, so it keeps, you know, the body from just being floppy. See, so it would, let's say, just for example, go in here. There's nothing in here. This is just a spacer, basically. The torsos are usually just spacers. Well, at least for Soldier Story, but not for Hot Toys. Hot Toys actually, it has some purpose. And this would be clamped on to that top peg by screwing it in tight. But this would give the tension to keep the torso to the hip. And, you know, that's what would keep it together. Now, those are some of the things that, you know, these figures are worked on. Now, if I were to take this apart, which I already have, you have that same thing. Look, it's that thing in there. It's the spring. You know, it's like those old G.I. Joes. You pull it, but you know, it stays together because it's not a rubber band. It's a spring. So, okay, let me take up a subject here with Hot Toys bodies. Whenever you have a Hot Toys body that has the rubbery upper torso thing that covers the neck joint, what's under that neck joint is this. I'm not really happy about it because these break really easily, and if you really just go about seeing what I mean when you do it yourself after a while, after you start playing around with these, and you see how mainly the actual cup where the ball goes in, this cup where the ball goes in, on this end or this end, you see, it may crack and you lose any type of, you know, tension that holds it in there or moves it around. It will break. You keep playing with it, not playing with it, but you keep, you know, moving it around every once in a while, it will eventually break. That's why I do not like these double cupped neck hinge. I have broken many. Now, I generally prefer these necks, which, you know, it's compatible with, you can pop these off and use the round cupped neck that have no articulation in the neck for some sculpts. I generally prefer these, but you know, you hear the complaints of, oh, you can see the joints. It doesn't bother me much. I'd rather see the joints and be able to pose it any way I like than to have it look more like a statue because it doesn't move. Just my opinion. So, I've been hearing a lot about these amazing Spider-Man Hot Toys made. Their shoulders being really bad. And I do not have a Spider-Man, and I do plan on getting one, just not at the moment. And what I have seen so far, and what I've heard on the boards, sideshow boards, thank you, OSW boards, is the shoulder articulation. And like I told you, I love the shoulder articulation. And let me explain why people have been breaking them. I know Hot Toys have actually fixed it. Well, not for sure, but it seems like the batches that have been hitting the States have recently not broken as easily. So here's the thing with Hot Toys and their first batch of Amazing Spider-Mans is, if you look closely, you see this is the body. Yes? Yes. And then you have these shoulder joints and connects to the arm. What people have not been told originally is that this is no longer there in that figure. This, all of this, the insides, this whole inner shoulder piece, they're exposed. So basically, this body is just one L going down. So all of this is exposed. And if you were to look at a Hot Toys, that's basically the only thing holding it in. So the body is actually clipped in like, screwed in like that with a little hole. So all that pivoting and that maneuvering and all that is basically relied on that. Now you tell me, you going like this, you know, on a Spider-Man figure with whatever tension the suit already has on it as well, if you look at it, how well do you think it's going to stay in there? You know, you can pop it out. Yes, it can be done. Think of it like this. Even this one is kind of covered, you know, the inner shoulder piece, it's covered by this front piece and this front piece, but inside is actually hollow. But for the Spider-Man one, it doesn't even have these cover pieces to cover the joint. So what people are doing are just pop, pop, pop. It's just like this. It doesn't go any higher. Doesn't go any higher. It'll just hit here. But, you know, Spider-Man is skinny. He's skinny like this. It can snap fairly easily. So that is just one way of what the problems people have been facing. And that is a problem for Hot Toys. They shouldn't have done that. But I'm not going to say, oh, you did it horribly. Well, you should have told your customers. You should have made it better because we didn't want to pay so much money for something that was going to break so easily. Now, thanks to Clipper King's review of the Hot Toys and the Medicom Spider-Man figures, I would like to give a shout out to Clipper King and show him what he was dealing with when he was playing with the Spider-Man comparison between Hot Toys and Medicom. This is a Medicom body. These are the Real Action Heroes, the R8H Real Action Heroes raw bodies. And they have run small for the general time they've been out, which has been a while. And they use these on all their figures, mostly all their figures back when, since 2002, I believe, maybe a little longer. They used a weirder version, but this one came out when Hot Toys came out with their True Types, the first ones. Yes, Hot Toys' original bodies were horridly unproportioned, but you know, for the time they were awesome. But that's when Medicom came out with these bodies, which was really, really good for the time because of the way it was designed, the way it looked with clothes on, well, especially tight clothes like the Kamen Rider figures. And if you look at this, there's really not many screws. And you wouldn't be able to take these apart as easily. And people say they're you can't break them. I mean, you can break them. They're so flimsy. But let me give you an example. This is a Sandy Hurricane survivor. This was actually submerged in salty water for over 6 months. And other than a little bit of rust that, you know, formed in these metal areas, see all that rust. And it's still solid. I mean, the joints are still tight, and these joints don't come apart easily. You can't pop them out and swap them like you would a hot toys here. For Clipper King, dude, these are the ankles you're dealing with when you got that Spider-Man. I mean, the ankles bend from here, you see. But the foot itself is just like a ballerina's foot. And that's what gives it its heel. So this little ring here is what keeps that bulking kind of effect from your Spider-Man figure. And you can actually take them off. And you can either replace this piece. Sorry, it's like all the rust from Sandy. It's kind of like a spacer. They have longer ones or shorter ones. This is apparently the shorter one. And you can actually just pop it back in, dude. And you wouldn't have that problem. And actually the skin would, the suit would bunch up in there. And they actually made it that way so that you can do that with their tight fitting closed kind of figures, which is excellent. That'll kind of wrap up my review for today. Maybe I'll define it, I'll go over the video, and if I like it, I'll post it. If not, then I'll just make a better one later. I hope you guys enjoyed the ramblings of a madman for 6 scale figures. Leave some comments, subscribe if you like. This is Eric. I'll see you guys on the flip side.